Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zohar Abbas.
And my name is Nida Patni. We will be your hosts this afternoon. On behalf of Babul Ilm Education Society, we would like to welcome you to this unique and auspicious occasion in our community. Before we start the program, I'd like to ask the speakers, Mr. Wayne Tebb, Mrs. Romana Khan Tamani, and Mr. Akbar Hussain Matani, to please come forward and take their seat at the table. We will start anyways.
Yeah, so first of all, let's just run through the details of the program for this afternoon.
We will start with the proceedings. With the recitation of the Holy Quran.
This will be followed by a brief introduction of the Babul Ilm Education Society and Scholarship Program by Dr. Muhammad Akbar.
A short speech presented by Mr. Wayne Tebb from Polytechnic University.
After this will be a presentation of gifts and certificates to students graduating to high school.
Mrs. Romana Khan, who is a Senior Director of Student Services at Simon Fraser University, will then take the stage for her brief talk.
Following this will be a keynote address by Dr. Akbar Hussain Matani from UBC.
And then the main event of this program, the presentation of scholarship awards to students of grade 10, 11, and 12 will take place.
Finally, we will finish off with a note of thanks by Dr. Zareen Naqvi and some refreshments.
Hope everyone got that. Let's begin then. I would like to invite Muhammad Hassan and Saim on stage to recite a few verses of the Holy Quran with their translation.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saim and my name is Muhammad Hassan. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم. الذي علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Read. In the name of your Lord who created. Created the human from something which clinged. Read. And your Lord is the most bountiful. He who taught the use of the pen. He who taught the human that which they knew not. It is interesting that of all the things which Allah chose to begin His revelations with are related to the actions of reading and writing, especially writing. The ability to write and store information is described in the book of Cosmos. Writing is perhaps the greatest of human inventions, binding together people, citizens of different times, who never knew one another. Books break the shackles of time, proof that humans can work magic. Thank you.
Introduction and update on the Babul Ilm Education Society. Please welcome Dr. Muhammad Akbar.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming on this Saturday afternoon. I will start with a very powerful saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A servant of God will remain standing on the day of judgment until he is questioned about his time on earth and how he spent it, about his knowledge and how he utilized it, about his wealth and from where he acquired it and what activities he spent it, and about his body and how he used it. Unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, the history of the followers of the Prophet, peace be upon Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family is full of such people who left their mark on this world through their hard work, pursuit, and accomplishments in the areas of science, art, architecture, and literature, among other forms of knowledge. In doing so, not only did they bring glory to themselves, but also to the communities, societies, and the world in which we live in today. In our times, it is our responsibility not just to preserve the heritage and the traditional thirst for knowledge handed down to us by these great people of the history, but also try and make our own contribution and efforts in gaining knowledge in every branch of learning accessible to us. To achieve this dynamic Islamic goal, academic development and attainment of knowledge should be our most important means. We seek the advancement of our community by supporting these academic pursuits and channeling the resources in this direction. Babul Ilm Education Society is a small non-profit organization. The sole purpose of this society is to promote higher education among the youth of the community. The idea is to encourage and help high school students to prepare better for a good quality post-secondary education. We have no other aspirations, nor we conspire against any local religious organization. For the past 2 years, the society has been awarding a number of $1,000 scholarships to most outstanding and deserving students of grade 10, 11, and 12. The feedback from award recipients is very positive. Most of them felt that this token of help and appreciation from the community has given them a boost and motivated them to excel in their studies. The criteria to award the scholarships are very transparent. They are mainly based on merit, which is the grades, and need, but we also give weight to the students' volunteer activities and religious knowledge. The scholarship committee comprises of 5 highly respected, reputed, and educated seniors of the community. The community is chaired by Mr. Zahir Manki, and other members include Mr. Haider Bas, Mr. Anwar Ali, Mr. Nadeem Kazmi, and Dr. Zareen Nafi. The scholarship program is open for all Muslims. The scholarship committee does not discriminate on the basis of nationality, ethnicity, and or family background. In fact, we want this humble effort to help build harmony within the community by recognizing and celebrating the achievements of all our youth. Our record over the past 3 years is a testament of our truly indiscriminate approach in awarding scholarships. Over the past 3 years, the program has gained popularity and the number of applicants has been on the rise. This year, the number of most outstanding grade in excess of 90%, students getting grade in excess of 90%, and most deserving family income less than 75%, $75,000 income, the student is overwhelmed. So they are brilliant and the family income is not very high. We have stretched our limited resources to the maximum, and yet we will be able to award scholarships to less than 1/2 of the most deserving and needy applicants. However, it is heartening to note that every year more and more donors are coming forward to help us in this humble effort. We started the program 3 years ago with just 5 scholarships. Last year the number increased to 7, and this year, mashallah, we are proud to announce that we will be giving away 11 scholarships to the youth of the community. And for that, we thank our donors from the bottom of our heart. The Office of the Babul Ilm Education Society takes extra measures to ensure complete transparency and impartiality in the selection process. Given the limited number of scholarships and huge number of applications, the committee has gone through a very difficult task of selecting the best and yet most deserving candidate out of the numerous applications we received. We believe that the committee has done an excellent job. Please give them a big round of applause. And I would like to emphasize one more time, Babul Ilm Education Society does not discriminate on the basis of caste, clan, sect, and ethnic or geographical background of the applicants. This fair trade is evident in the diversity of the award winners, both in previous years and also this year. And I will finish by quoting a very interesting saying of Imam Ali. He says, "You do good things and people think that you are a bad person. You do good things and people think that you are a bad person is better than you do bad things and people think that you are a good person." Thank you very much.
Next, I would like to ask Mr. Wayne Ted, Dean School of Business, Kwantlen Polytechnic University, to please come on stage and give a word of advice to our
Good
youth.
afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to Kwantlen Polytechnic University on behalf of the Board of Directors, President Alan Davis, and Vice President of Academic Development. It's always a pleasure when we have an opportunity to encourage people to take education more seriously. And the interesting thing is that we're probably at a time in history when all of us, even those of us who think we use our best efforts to
daughter of Atia and Haider Abbas. She is going to KB Woodward Secondary School.
Can we have a big round of applause for these students? Thank you, guys. You may take your seat.
Thank you, Khan. You can take a seat.
Now back to Zoha and Nida. Moving on to our next speaker, I would like to request about what it takes to enter a college or a university.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Khanamani is the Senior Director of Student Services at SFU. Ramana Khanamani has spent the past 25 years working in higher education administration with a focus on student services. She completed her Bachelor of Business Administration and Masters of Education from Simon Fraser University.
Mrs. Ramana Khanamani.
Hello and assalamu alaikum. My name is Ramana Himani and I am very pleased to be invited today to speak a little bit about, I hope everyone can hear me. Yeah. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, great. I'll just stand a little closer to the mic. So the presentation I'm giving today is really to provide you with an overview about admission to university and college. My background is primarily university, so a lot of what I'm going to talk about applies to entry to university, but I can certainly answer some questions about college as well, as I am familiar with that. So a quick overview of the presentation, just moving. What are post-secondary institutions looking for in students? So what are the admission requirements? What kinds of grades? We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about how do you choose an institution? How do you decide where you should go? And then finally, I'm going to cover a little bit about costs and just briefly talk about the overall costs of the university education. I realize this is a little small to see, but I thought I'd insert a little comic that reflects a little bit about university today in terms of what does it take to get in. As you know, I'm sure you're quite well aware, if you're in grade 11 or 12 or you have siblings who've gone on to university, you have a sense of that there's a real fierce competition for entry. Not just amongst students, but also amongst institutions for the best and brightest students. So it's a different environment than it was when, for example, I went to university, or even 10 years ago. Things have changed a lot. So one of the things I always say, and I'll preface my talk with this, is always keep an open mind and think about Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. And apply to multiple institutions. So post-secondary institutions tend to be looking for a combination of things. Primarily academics, definitely very important. But there's also currently a trend towards broad-based admission. So this is where cognitive and non-cognitive types of factors are considered. I'll talk a lot about that later. And general English language competency. So I'm talking about Canadian universities here, entry to BC and other Canadian universities, although this will apply quite a bit to the US as well. A couple of general comments here. In terms of actually just going back and not quite here yet. Sorry, I had a little bit more I wanted to talk about. Things have changed. I talked a little bit about competition, or I mentioned competition. But one of the things that has changed is post-secondary institutions are really, particularly public post-secondary institutions, are accountable. They're accountable to society at large. They're accountable to industry. They're accountable to you as public. So one of the things that they're doing is they're trying to make sure that the programs they're offering are relevant, that they meet the needs of students, that they meet the needs of employers, and that they meet the needs of society at large. So thinking about students, so all of you and the parents in the audience today, I think most of you want a university degree that's going to set you up for a fulfilling career and long-term success. Employers, overwhelmingly, so we know this, there's lots of data on this and lots of evidence of this, overwhelmingly endorse broad learning and cross-cutting skills. So they want things that are, and that's what they say is the best for long-term career success, preparation for long-term success. So only 15% of them say that, field-specific learning is really important. The vast majority say that they need the soft skills, they need to see leadership skills, communication skills, problem-solving skills, so on and so forth. So universities are now responsible for preparing students for both the workplace and for life in general. They want their graduates to contribute positively to not just to their workplace, but also to society at large and be civically engaged. So broad-based admission, I'm going to talk a little bit about that in terms of why that's becoming more important, but you can kind of see why, because generally speaking, employers, society, etc., are really looking for students' capacity. Do they have the capacity to learn both inside the classroom but also outside the classroom? Then bursaries, most universities have needs-based awards. So once you've applied and you're successful in attending, for example, SFU, and you have financial need, you can apply for a bursary. So that's non-repayable funding. And then, of course, the government, the Canadian and provincial governments have a student loan. You know what? We'll forget about that. I don't think we have time for questions, but I'm going to be here at the end, so you can come and chat with me now.
The next speaker for today's ceremony is Dr. Akbar Matani, who will address the youth of our community. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Akbar Matani works as a physician who specializes in the care of the elderly and is also a clinical associate professor in the Faculty of Medicine at the University of British Columbia. He has published multiple articles in peer-reviewed journals and has authored 2 books in the area of geriatrics. He has been a recipient of numerous research grants and is heavily involved in the teaching and training of physicians at UBC. Dr. Matani also lectures on spirituality and has visited various communities to give lectures and recite majalis. He has also served as the president of the Az-Zahra Islamic Center and has volunteered in many developing countries. Most importantly, he sees himself as nothing but a servant of Imam Hussein of Islam. The topic of his talk today is the pursuit of knowledge.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Akbar Matani.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع المذنبين وخاتم النبيين نبينا وشفينا وحبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين أما بعد. Respected speakers, respected scholars, especially Maulana Dr. Nasir Zaidi, members of the board of Babul Ilm Education Society, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, the pursuit of knowledge is something that is highly dignified in Islam. And in fact, if you search the Holy Quran, you will see that there are many, many verses in the Holy Quran that specifically talk about the importance of knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge. One verse in particular that is a verse that I personally like very much, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He asks a rhetorical question in the Holy Quran. And He says, are those who know and those who do not know alike, are they the same? Those people who know and those people who do not know, are they the same? It's a beautiful rhetorical question that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks in the Holy Quran. Of course, there are numerous traditions from the Holy Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt that actually talk about the importance of the pursuit of knowledge. For example, the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that the seeking of knowledge is an obligation for all Muslim men and women. It's the Holy Prophet. Now, when you look at this particular hadith, when you look at this particular saying of the Holy Prophet, he says the seeking of knowledge is important. The seeking of knowledge is a farida. The word he uses is obligation. It is a farida. He does not say necessarily that the seeking of Islamic knowledge only is a farida. He talks about the seeking of knowledge being a farida. So it stems from this that really it's not that everybody has to seek knowledge in such a way, or Islamic knowledge in such a way that everybody becomes an Islamic scholar. We have obviously people who are interested in this area and they pursue that part of the knowledge. But it is important, however, as an obligation from an Islamic perspective, that the seeking of knowledge of any kind is something that Islam expects from those who practice this religion. And Islam, when it talks about the seeking of knowledge, it's really talking about how the pursuit of knowledge is a means by which one can develop themselves and actually purify themselves. Because the ultimate goal in Islam is to purify one's own heart, in such a way that they are able to gain the proximity of the Almighty. From a perspective of human psychology, if you look at human psychology, you will see that the pursuit of knowledge, or knowledge itself, is something that everyone desires. In fact, the human psychology will say that it is an innate nature of a human being to want to be knowledgeable. Even the person who is ignorant will not want to be called ignorant. They'll want to be called smart, right? Nobody will sort of be proud or happy by saying that, okay, just call me ignorant. The pursuit of knowledge is so important that the fitra of the human being is such that he wants to acquire knowledge. That is part of his innate nature. It's very interesting that the Holy Prophet ﷺ says, he said that the knowledgeable person is superior to a worshipper by 70 degrees. It's very, very interesting. The knowledgeable person is superior to a worshipper by 70 degrees. But then he goes further and he says that each degree, the difference or the distance between each degree is the same as the span of a horse galloping for 70 years. Now, you may not be able to understand maybe about the horse galloping for 70 years, because obviously it was said in the context of that time. But you could think about driving a car for 70 years. So 70 degrees separate a knowledgeable person from a worshipper. From a worshipper. And within each of those degrees, the span of 70 gallops of a horse. Imagine the distance between a worshipper and a person who has ilm and knowledge, according to the Holy Prophet. You ask why? Why is this? The reason is really simple. It is because when shaitan, or when Satan, he plants an innovation within a human being. When shaitan or Satan plants an innovation within a human being, the knowledgeable person is able to distinguish what is right from what is wrong. Whereas the person who is a worshipper and worships without knowledge will just, acquire that innovation and will just practice it without knowing what he's doing. That is the reason why there is so much distance between a knowledgeable person and a worshipper who worships without knowledge. Look at Shaitan himself. Look at Satan himself. Was Satan not a great worshipper? Satan was a great worshipper. He worshipped the Almighty for many, many hundreds and thousands of years. What Shaitan or Satan lacked was knowledge. For when he was asked to perform an act in the obedience of God, he was not able to understand the importance of that obedience because he lacked knowledge. Had it been for him being knowledgeable, it was his own ethical and moral deficiency. It was his own innate ethical and moral deficiency that did not make him be in a capacity to acquire knowledge that he could apply. And so he disobeyed. This is why it is so important. It's important to understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah himself, we say Allah is alim, right? Allah is not alim. Allah is ilm itself. He's not alim. He is ilm itself, because Allah cannot acquire an attribute. Allah is knowledge itself. Why? Because every knowledge that you have emanates from Him. Every knowledge that we can acquire emanates from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why knowledge becomes so important in Islam. Now what I want to talk about, because I am supposed, this keeps dropping up and down, but that's good. It just gives me a little bit more to do. I want to talk about, very briefly, because I know my time is running out, but I want to talk about very briefly, what are the conditions to acquire knowledge? And I'm not talking about Islamic knowledge now. I'm talking about knowledge of any kind. It can be applied to Islamic knowledge, or it can be applied to knowledge of any kind, which is what the youth here are, of course, aspiring to, and this is why we have gathered here. How should I maximize my pursuit of knowledge? What are those conditions that I need to be aware of so that I'm able to acquire the pursuit of knowledge? What are the practical approaches that I need to be aware of? And I'm going to present to you 10 commandments of pursuit of knowledge from an Islamic perspective. There are 10 points that I want people, especially the youth of the people who are gathered here, to understand and apply this in their real life. And this comes from the books of Islamic theology and philosophy, but it also comes from the secular books that we have in academics and human psychology in particular. The first practical approach that I want to talk about is the seeking of knowledge must be done only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is very important to understand. That the seeking of knowledge must be only for Allah. If you want to be anything, if you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a lawyer, your pursuit of that knowledge, your seeking of that knowledge should only be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do I get, the question is, why should it be only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Because the ultimate purpose of the human being is to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The question is, how do I get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Through the pursuit of knowledge. The way that you get close to Allah through the pursuit of knowledge is by acquiring and manifesting the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within yourself to the best of your own capacity. And when you're able to do that, you will be acquiring knowledge for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by manifesting His own names and attributes. Now, I was told by the organizers, that the candidates for the scholarships of Babul Ilm Society, Education Society, that over 50% of the candidates had listed being a physician or a doctor as one of their aspiring ambitions that they wanted to do when they got through university. So let me just explain this to you, this concept of seeking knowledge must be for Allah, by giving you an example of a physician. And I can do that, obviously, because I'm a physician, and this actually resonates with me. So it's a good example for me to give. And I'm so heartened to hear that over 50% of the candidates for the scholarship actually want to be a doctor. What an amazing community we will be developing of physicians. This is going to be excellent. So let me just explain to you what I mean. You see, the Almighty Allah has blessed the believing physician with a means to reflect His names and attributes within himself to the best capacity of that particular physician. You see, as the physician heals somebody, as a physician heals the physical ailments of a patient, he is reflecting the names and attributes of Allah, the healer, within himself. That's what the physician is doing. And that's the mindset that the physician has to have. As he heals his patient, he understands that all he is doing is reflecting and manifesting the name of Allah, the healer, within himself. And so what happens is when that physician starts to treat and manage medical conditions in his patient, he needs to understand that it is actually not him who is doing the healing. It is Allah who is healing that particular patient. All he is the medium through which he is able to manifest the name and attributes of Allah. He is only the medium. He is nothing else. And when that physician has that mindset that he is only the medium, that the healing actually comes from God. When that pharmacist has that mindset that it is not this medication or this tablet that I am giving that is going to heal the patient. It is the fact that Allah has put the property of healing in this tablet and I am just the medium through which He is exhibiting Himself as the healer. That's when your mindset starts to change. And when you have that mindset, I can tell you it breaks down all the ethical and moral diseases that you may be prone to. Physicians, as you know, are prone very much to the disease of arrogance and pride, right? Because at one time, and I can say that as a physician, but I can tell you, a physician may feel when they treat a patient, treat a patient successfully, there is a possibility that they may feel, I have done this. This patient has survived because of me, because of my treatment. There is a level of pride and arrogance that comes into that physician. But if your mindset is that I didn't do it, I am just the means through which this was done, the healer is God, then that makes a big difference. The second thing that I want to talk about, the second point that I want to mention, is that it is important that in the pursuit of knowledge, one of the conditions is that when you are pursuing knowledge, you develop a moral and ethical character within yourself. Without this, because the moral and ethical character actually allows you to manifest the names and attributes of Allah within your own capacity. If He is compassionate, then how compassionate are you towards others? If He is kind, then how kind are you towards others? If He is just, then how just are you towards others? Particularly important for the lawyers, the people who want to do law, right? So these are the kind of things we need to, the second approach is you want to be godly in your character. You want to manifest the names of Allah within your character. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, He says in the Quran, Ittaqullah wa yu'allimukumullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says that be godly, have taqwa, have this presence of God within yourself, have this awareness of God within yourself, manifest my names and attributes within yourself, and if you do that, Allah says, I will become your teacher. Allahu Akbar. Look at this. Allah is saying, I will become your teacher when you become pious. So having a character that is moral and ethical is critical in the pursuit of knowledge. The third thing that I want to say, the third approach or the third condition, is you have to be interested in what you are learning. You know, and I can relate to this as at a personal level. I can tell you, in my time in the Khoja community, everybody had to be an accountant, right? Everybody had to be an accountant. And the Khoja sort of philosophy in Africa, I'm talking about, was that there's no discussion. You've got to be an accountant, and that's it, you know. And when I was first told that I was going to be an accountant, you know, it was a ghastly thought for me. You know, I thought to myself, my goodness, you know, I can't do this. I can't sit there, and I hate numbers as it is. And so you know, the fact is that sometimes we pressurize our children. We pressurize our children to learn and become something that they don't want to be. They just don't want to be there. Not everybody wants to be a doctor, trust me. And I don't think everybody should. It would be horrible, right, if everybody became a physician. Lawyers, yeah, maybe, but physicians, no. I think it is important that we encourage our children to pursue whatever their interests are. Because the research will tell you that if you are pursuing that knowledge which you are interested in, then no matter what kind of barriers and challenges and difficulties you may face in your life, you will be able to overcome it. You will be able to overcome those difficulties. But if you're pursuing something that you're not interested in, then you're going to have a very tough time in making that happen. And having that plan where you nurture the youth of the community to be able to address the needs of that community is extremely important. Number 5 approach to pursuit of knowledge is patience. Patience is extremely important. You know, as I was reading this booklet of this particular event today, it says that on the second page, one of the sayings of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, and he says, and this is one of the sayings in number 2, no two things have been combined better than knowledge and patience. What a beautiful saying. And that's one of the things that I have as my goal or my condition for the pursuit of knowledge is patience. The Prophet says that one who cannot be patient in the pursuit of knowledge for 1 hour will be ignorant forever. Will be ignorant forever. As you pursue knowledge, as you do your studies, you will always be challenged. There are going to be challenges. The time pressures on a person will always be very critical, always trying to balance your time. You know, and pursuit of knowledge takes a lot of time. And sometimes what happens is, you know, you've been boxed in, right, all your life, right? And suddenly after grade 12, you find freedom. And now you have freedom and social networks, not only physically, but also virtually now, social networks in such a way that you will have lots of pressures to connect socially with your friends, to do things with to have fun. And there is nothing wrong in having fun. Have fun. Okay, it's good. But you need to balance your time, right? Because those pressures are always going to be there. Your friends, your internet, your Facebook, your gaming, all of those things will actually be something that are going to be challenges for you. So be patient in the pursuit of knowledge. And you know, you need to balance that time. And sometimes it means that you will need to sleep less. Sometimes it means that you will have to say no to some things. that you really want to do because it's a lot of fun. Sometimes it's very important to understand that really in the pursuit of knowledge and studies, there are no shortcuts. Trust me on this. There are no shortcuts. I have a lot of people who do some sort of, volunteer thing, within the hospital, a volunteer job within the hospital, and they see the glamour sometimes of the physicians and everything else, and they want to be a doctor tomorrow. Right? It's not going to happen. It takes time, and there are no shortcuts. There is no such thing. You can't cut corners. There are no corners to cut. You may think, well, if I cheat here, and maybe if I cut a corner there, and maybe if I bump my class and skip my class here, it's going to be okay. It's not. Trust me on this. There is a sacrifice that comes with the pursuit of knowledge. Number 6 is to find a suitable time to study, which is very important. Some people, are morning people, right? Some people are night owls, right? So it depends on who you are. But it's important that you understand who I am. What's the best time for me to study? And then once you understand what's the best time for you to study, maximize your time. Prioritize your other responsibility in such a way that you are freeing up that time, which is the most important time conducive to your learning, so that you're doing everything else in the other time. Very important. Number 7 is the environment. It's really important to create an ambiance, to create an environment, to create a comfortable, soothing, and quiet environment so that you may be able to study. To make sure that your room is clean. Because there is lots of research that shows that if you have a dirty, smelly room, it's not conducive to learning, and it's not conducive to knowledge. Your light in the room is very important. Ever thought about why people, study well in libraries? It's because there is that ambiance is there. The temperature of the room is very important, right? So it's really important in establishing a right environment and atmosphere for study. Number 8 is having a healthy diet. Having a healthy diet that is particularly high in protein. Lots of research showing that a diet that is high in protein is very good and conducive to learning. That's why in the old days, my parents used to tell me, have badam, right? Have almonds, it's good for your brain. No kidding, it is good for your brain because it's high in protein, right? So I gotta tell you, you want to avoid caffeine and you want to avoid the Red Bull before the exam next day. It's not going to work. Trust me, it won't. The caffeine will allow you to stay up all night and study, but when it comes to you giving your exam, you'll be fogged out in your brain because it's a stimulant. It's a CNS stimulant. Right? If you are to pace yourself properly, and if your diet is good, protein shakes are good for you, if you want to pursue study. So a diet high in protein becomes very, very important. And I'm just whizzing through this because I don't have a lot of time. Number 9 is physical and spiritual cleanliness. You gotta take a shower, man. You just got to. You cannot tell me, I don't have time for a shower. Seriously, you don't have time for a shower? Right? Spiritual cleanliness. If you look at Islamic literature, if you are in the state of wudu, the Islamic literature talks about what a tremendous benefit the state of wudu is in a person who is trying to acquire knowledge. Because the capacity of that person increases when he is in the state of wudu, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all knowledge emanates from him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala infuses basira in that person. He infuses knowledge and insight in that person who is in the state of wudu. Physical and spiritual cleanliness. And number 10, we started with Allah and we end with Allah. Number 10 is the condition of pursuing knowledge is seeking the help of Allah, especially through the holy prophets and the Ahlul Bayt. Seek the help of Allah in order for you to pursue knowledge. That's why, we talk about the holy prophet saying, Rabbi zidni ilman, right? The holy prophet says, "Oh God, increase my knowledge." The holy prophet is saying, "Oh God, increase my knowledge." So if we were to do this, there is a reason why the prophet says this. Because all knowledge emanates from Allah. And because it emanates from Allah, seek knowledge from Him. Because He is ilm. Seek knowledge from Him. There is a beautiful dua that I want to end with respect to seeking knowledge from Allah, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you go to duas.org, you'll find this. It says, Allahumma akhrijni min zulmatil wahm wa akrimni bi nuril fahm. Allahumma aftah alayna abwaba rahmatik wanshurna alayna khazaina ulumik rahmatika ya arhamar. It's a beautiful short dua. If you can recite this dua, recite it. For in this dua, we say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah, remove from me the darkness of empty thoughts. Remove from me the darkness of empty thoughts, and ennoble me with the light of knowledge." Ennoble me with the light of knowledge. Oh my Lord, open for us your doors of mercy and provide us with the treasures of your knowledge. Provide us with the treasures of your knowledge, because Allah, we know, is ilm, and all knowledge emanates from Allah. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much, Dr. Natani.
Now we come to the main reason for our gathering this afternoon, which is the presentation of the Babul Ilm Scholarship Awards for the year 2015.
So, as you all probably know, there are 11 scholarships of $1,000 Canadian each to be presented today to the brightest and most deserving students of grade 10, 11, and 12 in our community. Based on the number of applications received in each category, 3 awards will go to grade 10 students, 1 to a grade 11 student, and 7 awards to grade 12 students. Please note, however, that all of the nominees will be receiving a cash award and a beautiful certificate at the end of the ceremony, so we request them all to stay behind at the end to collect those. So now we would like to request Khadija and Nadia to once again come on stage and take charge of the presentations for the awards of grade 10 and 11.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the first category, that is grade 10, the competition was very tough. Unfortunately, we only had 3 scholarships for this category and there were 8 nominations.
And the nominees are, in alphabetical order,
Abbas Jafri,
Ahmad Mansoor,
Zelza Rehan,
Iman Devji,
Rohan Kaisar,
Sadaf Tahira Fahim,
Zainab Rashid,
Zinat Yusufi,
and Naveed Hassan Zadeh.
The first award, Sayyid Mazahir Abbas Memorial Award, will go to one of the best and the most deserving students of grade 10. We would request Brother Sayyid Haider Abbas to please come on stage to present this award.
Award goes to Sayyid Mazahir Abbas. Muzakira, a PhD, and engineers.
This $1,000 reward is in the loving memory of a person who believed that Urdu-speaking Muslims have to focus on modern education with Islamic values.
Mr. Haider Abbas, would you please announce the name of the winner?
And the award goes to Sadaf Tahda.
Thank you, Haider Abbas. The second award in this category, the Syed Muhammad Akbar Memorial Award, will go to a bright and brilliant student of grade 10. And to present this award, I would like to request Brother Hassan Zaidi to please come on stage.
$1,000 award is in the loving memory of a person whose objective in life was to help the community in every possible way. Mr. Hassan Zaidi, would you please announce the name of the winner?
The winner is Zinat Yusufi.
That is grade 11. The award is $1,000. It will be presented to one of the most outstanding students of grade 11. Again, the competition was tough and we had a number of deserving applicants. Unfortunately, due to limited resources, we are only able to present one scholarship. We wished to have more funds to award these brilliant students.
And the nominees are in alphabetical order:
Kasim Ali Kaku,
Chandu Devji,
Zahid Mirali,
and Zohair Jafri. The award in grade 11 category, Sayyidat Taeed Fatima Memorial Award, will go to the best and the most brilliant student of grade 11. And to present this award, I would request Mrs. Zahir Manki to please come on stage.
A word about Sayyidat Taeed Fatima. Sayyidat Taeed Fatima could not go to school herself, but she produced 3 PhDs, 1 judge of high court in Pakistan, and 3 masters out of her 7 sons. She also encouraged and helped her husband to continue his studies. Her husband eventually became the Attorney General of the state they used to live in. She was an active political worker and well-known speaker. The utmost objective of her life was to help provide the best possible education to her family.
This $1,000 scholarship award is in the loving memory of a lady who sacrificed her entire life for education and the betterment of her family.
And the winner is Qasim Ali Kaku.
Thank you.
All right, you guys can take your seat.
The last category of awards for today is being presented to some amazing students of grade 12. There were 8 nominations for this category, and we are very happy to announce that we were able to award 7 of these nominees. No doubt you can imagine how difficult it was to leave out that one equally amazing student. We only wish we had more funds to award all our applicants today.
So in alphabetical order, the nominees are, drumroll please, Elia Jaffrey,
Amal Zahra,
Inaya Manshi,
Midhat Kazmi,
Harsa Shani,
Syed Mutahar Shah,
Zamna Mitani,
and lastly, Zahra Abbas. All right. The first award for the grade 12 category, the Mrs. Riaz Bano Memorial Award, will go to a brilliant grade 12 student. I would request Mr. Heather Abbas again to please come on stage to present this award.
Now a word about Mrs. Riaz Bano. Riaz Bano was a dedicated housewife raised in a remote Zamindar family. She had no formal education. Her strength came from the values she learned at a local village madrasa, where she learned Urdu and Arabic. She used to recite Quran like a Qari. She always encouraged her kids to go for higher education. Her family now includes a PhD, engineers, and a Zakira. 2 schools have been established under her name in her native village, Badadmo, in the region of Fatehpur, UP. Starting with just 20 students in 2006, these schools now provide education to over 300 students.
This $1,000 award is in the loving memory of an Abda who passed away on a Thursday evening while performing from Maghrib Namaz at the age of 59 years. Mr. Heather Abbas, would you please announce the winner?
It goes to Alia Jalfi.
Oh, I did it right, Mom. Oh, she didn't. Thank you all, but thank you so much. I've got a speaker. The second award is for the grade 12 category. The Fakhr Nisa Memorial Award is presented to another highly intelligent grade 12 student. I would request Mr. Zafar Ahmed to please come on stage to present this award. The $1,000 award is in the loving memory of a person who was generous, caring, and incredibly selfless, always willing to help those in need. Mr. Zafar Ahmed, would you please announce the winner?
Award goes to Amal Zara.
Amal Zara. The Shuja'atullah Khan Memorial Award, and it is presented to a most deserving student of grade 12. I would request Mrs. Asad Bey to please come on stage to present this award.
Shuja'atullah Khan was born in Shahjahanpur, India, and as a young man in his late teens, was the only member of his family to migrate into Pakistan in 1947. He joined the Pakistani Air Force to help serve the new Air Force of Pakistan. He was a great supporter of children's education and spent the last 20-plus years of his career working at a high school in Lahore. He was a great source of love for his family and friends and will always be remembered for the love and richness of human values that he brought to all of the lives he touched.
This $1,000 award is presented in the loving memory of Shuja'atullah Khan with the hope that it will provide aid toward the winner's post-secondary education costs. Mrs. Bey, would you please announce who the winner is?
The winner is Medhat Kazmi.
Thank you, Mrs. Bey. Would you like to say a few words?
Thanks.
All right, getting to the end here, guys. The 5th award in the grade 12 category, which is the Saira and Mumtaz Khan Award, is presented to another highly qualified recent secondary school graduate. Would Mr. Nasir Zaidi please come on stage to present the award? $1,000 award is donated by Saira and Mumtaz Khan to give encouragement to the youth of our community. Mr. Zaidi, would you please announce the winner?
Mutahar Shah.
The Syed Hudson Akbar Advocate Memorial Award is the second last award being awarded today to yet another bright mind of our graduate nominees. I would request Mr. Zahir Manki to please come on stage to present this award. All right, Mrs. Zahir Manki, please.
So a word about Syed Hassan Akbar. Syed Hassan Akbar was a well-reputed lawyer in Pakistan. He also served as a provincial attorney general from 1983 to 1988. Hassan Akbar was a self-made man. In 1947, he migrated to Pakistan in what were very dangerous and uneasy times. He possessed only two assets, his will to succeed and determination to turn things around. With the help of a loving and caring wife and his indomitable efforts, he managed to build a well-respected and educated family. His family includes 3 PhDs, 3 masters, and a judge of high court.
This $1,000 award is in the loving memory of a person who believed in the strength and importance of good quality education. Mrs. Manki, would you please announce the winner?
The winner is Zamina Mitani.
Thank you, Mrs. Manki. Thank you. Zamna, do you want to have a little words with us? Sure? Okay.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'd like to thank the Almighty, first of all, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and offer my salutations to Allah Abdullah, Imam al-Hussein, and Imam Ali, this wonderful scholarship has been named after, the Babul Ilm Scholarship, and inshallah to follow in his footsteps and to pioneer inshallah in this knowledge in this community with knowledge, and to offer my congratulations to the rest of the recipients as well. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the last award for this category and for the afternoon today is the Dr. Hassan Naqvi Memorial Award. This award is presented to another most deserving student starting post-secondary education in the near future, hopefully. I would like to request Mr. Nadeem Kazmi to please come on stage to present this award.
So a little bit about this award. Dr. Hassan Naqvi was a family doctor in Pakistan. After getting his medical degree in Patna, India, Dr. Naqvi joined the Medical Corps of the British Indian Army and served during the Second World War in East Asia. In 1948, he migrated to Pakistan and established a clinic in Nazmabad, Karachi, where he operated for all of his life. He was famous for his sharp diagnosis of health issues, his community service, and his philanthropy for education. He established the College of Family Medicine to enable continued upgrading of education for family doctors in Pakistan. Dr. Naqvi was a champion of higher education for both boys and girls. His children include a urologist, an educator, a psychiatrist, an economist, and an acoustics engineer.
This $1,000 award is in the loving memory of a person whose motto was excellence in every aspect of life, whether it be professional or personal. Mr. Kazmi, would you please announce the winner?
This last award of the evening goes to Zahra Abbas.
So ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the presentation of awards. And now I would request Dr. Zareen Naqvi to please come on stage for a note of thanks. Please welcome Dr. Zareen Naqvi, and guys, this is the last speech before we eat, so please give her a warm round of applause.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank a number of people for making this such a successful and lively event today. First, our deepest appreciation for the speakers, for their insights, their advice, and their words of wisdom. I learned a lot today. I'm sure our youth and this audience also benefited from the speakers. So thank you, Brain Ted, Romana, Hamani, and Dr. Akbar Mitani for coming to grace this occasion and sharing your precious time with us. Secondly, I would like to thank all our donors who provided scholarship funds and sponsored special segments of today's program. Some donors have been with us for the last 3 years. We applaud their commitment to promote education for the youth of the community. And I'll mention the names of Mr. Haider Abbas and the Akbar family, who has been with us for a number of years. We are truly blessed that we find new donors each year. We had sent out an appeal for funds because of the large number of applicants this year, and we are happy to say that we were able to get 4 more scholarships this year. So thank you Mr. and Mrs. Asad Beg, Saira and Mumtaz Khan, and an anonymous donor for hearing our appeal for funds and responding in such a generous way. Besides the full scholarship, we also want to thank our sponsors who provided funds for special segments of the program, including the gift certificates and just to making the arrangements. It is so encouraging that friends and others come to us wanting to contribute to this cause, even without our asking for money. People have stuffed checks in our pockets or called to say that they would like to give us money. It's truly amazing. We are truly grateful for all the contributions. The list of these such contributors is long, but I would like to mention a few names like Raza Masood, Mr. Raza Merchant, Dr. Khan Shoaib, Mr. Saif, and Muhammad Saif. And there's a long list. I may not have taken all the names, so what I wanted to say is a big thank you to all the sponsors. Thirdly, I'd like to thank members of the scholarship committee for their time and contributions. This is all volunteer work, and they're doing this with such enthusiasm and devotion. Our volunteers are such a great source of strength for us. Many families and individuals are involved who provide so much support. And I would like to mention a few names like Mr. Nadeem Kazmi and family, Raza Merchant and family, Tanveer Abbas and family, Tawqir Saab and family, and Rizwana this time has been very helpful. So there are many people, I'm just mentioning a few names. So thank you again for all your volunteer work for the committee. I would especially like to thank our young MCs, Nida, Zoha, Madiha and Khatija, who conducted the program today, and our young Quran reciter and translator, Sayan and Muhammad Hassan. I think they need a big round of applause. Finally, I'd like to share a story that I recently read in the newspaper. This is about a UBC professor, Dr. Ted Danner, who was a brilliant professor of zoology at UBC. He taught classes during the week, but on weekends, he would be seen with a black garbage bag collecting throwaway cans and bottles. In 1989, Dr. Tanner set up a pop can bottle refund award. Over 25 years, Dr. Tanner collected $46,000 from discarded bottles and cans and helped a number of students meet their academic expenses at UBC. So, the moral of this story is that if there is passion for a good cause, funds can come from a lot of places. Generous donors, like-minded committed people, and even discarded bottles and cans. The key is that you need to have fire in your heart to do something good. I'm hoping that going forward, the youth of our community would also come up with their own fundraising ideas for us and for many other causes that they would like to pursue. Thank you for coming, listening, and attending our scholarship ceremony today. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Muhammad Tariq to come and give a little token of our appreciation to the speakers today. Mr. Tariq. Tariq is the Consul General of Pakistan in Vancouver and also for BC and Alberta and Saskatchewan. Okay. Now, okay. The first one is for Mr. Ren Ted. Pictures. Do you want to go? She's fixing it. Okay, thank you. And Dr. Akbar Mithani.